Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Married Sisters Talk Show. I am your host, Becca Wilson. This show was created to deal with topics and issues that women are facing today. Whether you are married, single, widowed, or divorced, this show is for every sister. Please be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and every Tuesday on our Married Sisters YouTube channel at 12 noon. If you like our show, please subscribe, like, and share.
We are sisters, married sisters, living our best lives, being blessed wives with our misters. We are sisters, we are married sisters.
So even though y'all got married kind of quickly, when did the walls, because y'all were both walled in, and different, like when did y'all look at each other and like, babe, you know, this is it, this is love. And even though you were married, you still yet hadn't really become that one yet.
Right.
What was that process like? Walk us through that, because, you know, I know, you know, like you said, you were walled, he was walled. Where the bulldozer come through to start breaking down these walls? Was it like a baby steps, or was it, hey, I woke up and like, I'm this new person, I'm just gonna accept what God has given me now?
You know, her path, you know, Lady Joy's path has, you know, it's been a unique, you know, kind of path. And she said, you know, she was called to preach, you know, at 17, but of course, you know, she had a child. You know, and then she, you know, she had another child at 20. You go through those experiences, you know, naturally, those experiences create walls.
Oh, yeah.
You know. And in spite of popular belief, you know, sometimes you think you get with a person, this is my first love. Just because that's your first love don't necessarily mean that's going to be your last. You know, people have first situations all the time.
Come on, yeah.
And so I think the wall for me was, I had been so hurt that I was in need of love. And I didn't realize how much I needed love.
Yeah.
You know,
because you lost, you know, wife, then mom, you know, Lisa, you know, if I didn't have the wife, I can run to mom. Or, you know what I'm saying, someone to get that type of comfort from.
And it's so true. And I didn't realize how hurt, and I didn't realize how much I needed love to we connected, and I felt as if initially I wasn't getting it. And when I say I wasn't getting it, not intentionally, she just was guarded, like you said, protective. Like, it's not that I don't love you, I just don't want to give it all to you because this is something I've seen before. You know, it always starts this way, you know, but I dare not, you know, let you put me in a situation where you leave me too and leave me with another child, you know.
Right.
So I think for me, when I started asking God to heal me, you know,
that's it.
because a lot of times we get in a relationship, we seem to, you know, always say, God, deal with them. You know,
deal with them.
God, Lord, change them, get them. And I had to realize, Lord, I need you to heal me. You know, and once the Lord began to heal me and console me, as she said, going through the process of writing this book, and then understanding that, watch this, I'm good enough. I am good enough for somebody to love me.
See, come on.
Flawed in everything.
Yes.
You know, all my hurt, I'm still a good man. You know, God has good and I'm just believing that Joy is going to see that she is not going to find someone that's going to love her more than I am.
Come on.
She's not going to find someone that's going to be a better fit for her than me. So Lord, heal me.
Yes.
Once the Lord began to heal me, and watch this, I started seeing my value and seeing my worth. Then I got to this style of thinking. Watch this. Joy, if I love you, you can't even worry about who loves me. And if you love me, you know, vice versa, because that's what we were dealing with, you know, trying to come together, still having, you know, certain ties and connections from our past, you know. And a lot of times those things will show up in your relationship if you don't deal with it.
That's
right.
And so I just, you know, and that would hurt. Those are the things that would scar me, like, man, don't you see, I really love you, you know. You don't have to revert, you don't have to look back. I'm here, you know. And then once again, rather saying, Lord, you know, take it, Lord, heal me. Change my perspective. Help me to love myself and help me to know that and be confident that regardless of what I see right now, Joy is who you sent to me. You told me Joy was around the corner and Joy is here. So then what I'm going to do is, God, I'm going to be patient, work on me, and watch you develop Joy into the wife you said would be for me. That was kind of my situation. I needed to be healed. What would you say?
That's beautiful.
Exactly. What took place for me was the consistency.
Yes, I was going to say that. He had to be consistent, didn't he?
and when he consistently just kept loving me, consistently kept giving and taking care of us and providing, and, you know, everything. It didn't change, you know. And so I think the turning point for us was year 5. Most people say, you know, if you can make it through year 5, then you're gonna, you know, be successful. And I think for us, year 5, we had cried so much, we had fought so much, we had lost so much. So we had a wedding at year 5 because when we got married, remember he said we got married one night after Bible study. My dad married us a night after Bible study. And it wasn't a ceremony. It was just my dad and 2 of our friends that witnessed it. And so I wanted a wedding because my first husband, I got married. We got married at the Justice of Peace.
Same.
You know? And so I said, no, this time I want a wedding.
Yes.
You know, I deserve a wedding. And so after, you know, year 1, I was like, I ain't getting no wedding because this is all.
I don't see this.
I don't know. Year 2, you know, things started, you know, slowly coming together. But it was year 5 when I realized, like, this is for real. Like, he ain't going nowhere. Like, he's not changing. He ain't cussing at me. He ain't hitting me upside the head. He ain't, you know, he's not disrespecting me. You know, it was those things that I'm like, you know what, this is for real, that I could just start undressing. You know, like when you first meet people, you're like, oh, excuse me, let me go back here so I can, you know, change and stuff. It was then in year 5 that I was like, oh, okay, I can take my hair down. I can become.
I can breathe. That's what it seemed like, right?
Taking that girdle off, you know, like, woo, I've been holding this in for a long time. So it was relief. You know, to believe that someone is there. And they're not going anywhere. Because that had happened to me several times, even with my children's fathers. They had promised, they had made these promises and didn't fulfill them. And so I was used to people saying and doing totally opposite things.
Saying one thing and doing the actions is different.
Man, but his consistency was what really tore those walls down in me and began to heal me. His love healed me. I honestly would say his love just...
See, it also brought you alive. It really birthed forth Joy. Who you are.
Absolutely.
And that's such the power of love, especially of a husband's love, to have the husbandry love for real.
Real love. Genuine love. Without anything attached to it.
Exactly. It, like I said, it brings a whole new you that you didn't even realize was there. You know, so it is like, even though you met her, but you got a different Joy than, you know.
Oh man, brand new.
That is like, man, that is just, it's just awesome. Love is awesome. And then that's one thing, you know, about God's love. He didn't just tell us. And a lot of us, we get stuck in that telling you, I love you, I love you. Never no action. But God didn't just tell us, he showed us. He sent his son. He didn't have to. And, you know, and then when you think of marriage, people, you know, like, oh, my marriage is this, pray for my marriage, pray for my marriage. But truly, in essence, the marriage consists of 2 people.
That's it.
So working on yourself, working on yourself does what? Fix the marriage.
It does.
You know, the marriage is like, you know, that's just the title. But we got to, you know, work on ourselves individually, and that's what the beauty of it is, and that's what make you guys such that powerful couple now, that you can share your story, tell people like, baby, you know, I've been that, and not only that, you can see, you know, you see the grief, or you see that young lady who's who's trapped. You know what I'm saying? You see that. So tell me about Pretty Girls Preach. How was that birthed forth?
So I grew up in a time where women preachers were not accepted. That was just not acceptable, and I was called at 17, and I was like, okay.
And you knew, without a doubt, you was called.
Oh my God.
You didn't battle that.
No, I did not battle it at all. I remember opening up a scripture and beginning to read it and understand it.
Wow.
And one day at church, matter of fact, I was like 12, and they asked me to speak on something they asked me to speak on, and I went to the Bible and I read it, and I was like, oh, okay, I get this. And I presented it, and my father, who was a pastor at the time, was like, you got something.
Say there.
Coming from a generation of ministers that did not believe in women preachers. My father knew at the time when I gave that first speech, he knew there was something there. There was something there. And so when I told him that I had been called, he said, okay, well, what, I said, I just hear God speaking to me.
Yes.
I could hear him. I'd open up the Bible and I could hear him speaking to me. And I would read scriptures and I could just dissect it. And I knew what the scripture was saying. And it would just give me chills to just reading the Bible. And so when I began to preach as a young girl, a lot of young people were not preaching then.
True.
A lot of young people were not preaching. So you didn't get that many opportunities to do it. But when I went to New Beginnings, our pastor, he would allow us to, they had ministry training. And so he would allow the women to do their little speeches in the classes. And then he gave us the opportunity to preach one night before the people in Bible study. And so it was just amazing coming from a time where women were not accepted to now where I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this. And there's other women that are being held back as well.
Yes.
And so in 2013, God gave me the ministry, Pretty Girls Preach, and I sat on it. Because I was like, oh man, nobody's gonna receive this. They're gonna be like, what are you talking about? And what are you trying to do? And I wanted to, present it in a way where it was appealing to people, and especially women who feel like I don't have what it takes to do it.
Yes.
And then where women have oftentimes been utilized in areas of like ushering and in the kitchen ministry, and they utilize
the nurses,
the nurses. They're utilizing every other aspect of ministry. And I'm like, we're pretty in all those aspects, but there's more to us than just being pretty.
Yes.
We can do more than just sit here with these pretty hats on and our nice robes and everything. We can look pretty, but there's more to us than just being pretty. We can preach.
Yes.
There's a word in us. Mary was pregnant with Jesus. Jesus is the word.
Come on now.
She was the first one to be able to carry the word in her belly. So I was like, no, I'm not going to sit on this. And so the very first service I did was in 2016. And it was the 7 last sayings of Christ.
Yes.
And when I say
That's awesome.
It was amazing, it was packed wall to wall. People were everywhere. I just couldn't believe it.
Wow.
It was just what we needed, to begin to birth those women that have been sitting, that have been stagnant, that have been just overdue, holding this word in their belly, or just preaching to their friends and family. And so Pretty Girls Preach is just an outlet for women to get up and utilize their gift to share the gospel, because there's still churches that don't allow women to preach or don't recognize your gift. So it's just a platform for women to come and share and to fellowship with other women that are like in ministry as well.
Wow, that is so awesome. And like I said, you have that opportunity because I'm sure like some women, they feel like they're not worthy because they know that they have a gift. They feel like they've been called, but yet at the same time, they may have had that child out of wedlock, or they may have. How do you help them get over those hurdles and be like, God has what's your identity? Is in Christ, not in our mistakes, or I can't really say our mistakes, but because surely the children are not mistakes.
Sure.
Right.
They're all here for purpose. Right. But how would you help birth them on over that?
I tell people, listen, God saved us. When we talk about salvation, he saved us. Okay, well, what did he save you from? Because if you were saved, then you were saved out of something.
Right.
And once you've been saved, now you have a right to go back and get somebody else. Well, how can I come and get you if I don't know where you've been?
See.
And so the fact that you've been there and you've done that is the ministry in itself.
Right.
That gives you the opportunity to preach. Because I don't want to hear nothing if you ain't been through nothing.
Okay.
Don't tell me something that you ain't ever been through. I want to hear that I've been healed and delivered. Well, what was you healed and delivered from? Because if he did it for you, he can do it for somebody else.
Yes.
And so I listen, I glory in the fact that you've been through something. I'm like, come on, girl, yes, because there's somebody else that's waiting that's
To hear your story that need it.
because if you got out, then they can get out.
Yes.
Come back in and get them and bring them out.
Isn't that it right there? You haven't arrived.
No.
Come on now. I can't deal with folk who has arrived.
Yeah, no.
You go right ahead. I can't deal with you. Now tell us this, because you have not only another testimony. Now you guys had 3 children together. Talk to me about, if you don't mind, sharing the testimony of what you just recently yourself had to go through in birthing forth your baby girl.
Yeah, man.
Talk to them about that.
That was tough. 2020, right? Yeah, I gave birth to her on April the 10th, which was Good Friday. I went to the doctor as my normal visit. I was scheduled to have a C-section on Tuesday, so that was Friday. I went to my appointment. The doctor, they did the ultrasound. They were just making sure everything was good so that Tuesday I could have my cesarean. Well, they did an ultrasound, and the doctor came in, and he noticed that there was something floating around in the sac. And he just didn't like how it looked, and he said, I need you to go over to the triage, which is the women's hospital.
Yeah.
Just so they can look and see and make sure that it isn't anything. So I go over there, and I'm thinking, I haven't eaten anything. This is my early morning doctor's appointment. Like we was like, we're going out to eat.
Okay, done had this plan.
And I get over there, and they hook me up to the monitors. They're looking, and they noticed that she had a bowel movement.
Okay.
And at that point, they were like, you got to go to surgery now. Because if she inhales this, or anything happens, she'll die from inhaling. And so they took me straight to surgery. When I got in surgery, they began to start the preparation just like every other C-section. This is my 4th C-section, so I've had C-sections, so I wasn't nervous or anything. I'm just like, okay, it's gonna be another C-section. Well, when they cut me open, they immediately stopped. Like they yelled out, "Stop!" Like it was like what's going on? Like they were like, "Stop!" Yeah, and so the doctor at the time, she was like, "Hey, we need to get another doctor in here." And so I'm like, "Okay." I'm thinking like, well, what could be going on? So they called for my other doctor to come, and I'm waiting. And I'm cut open at this time.
Right.
And I think I'm waiting maybe about 15, 20 minutes maybe. And I'm looking at my husband. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Nobody's really saying anything.
So you were in the room?
I was in the room.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, right next to him.
Yeah. And so he saw them. They're wheeling blood in. They're wheeling all kind of machines in. And so I can't see this. I'm laying, behind a veil, basically.
Right.
And so the doctor comes in. He was like, hey, we're going to get the baby out first. I'm like, okay. And so he got the baby out. Maybe 2 minutes after he got there, the baby comes out. She's screaming, crying. They take her on out. Well, after that, he said, we don't know where your uterus is. I'm like, huh?
Right.
Ain't the baby in there? Ain't that
right.
That whole situation. I'm like, what? And so we have to locate your uterus. And so they're in there, okay, going through the process. What they found out is my uterus had ruptured. And so they had to give me a hysterectomy. After my C-section, they proceeded with a hysterectomy.
Wow.
And I have to quickly interject.
Yeah, because I want to know what your mind thinking.
So imagine this was the identical situation that I had went through with a wife before.
Right.
Who had to have a hysterectomy, who had, issues, surrounding her uterus, who had something rupture in her. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, Lord, please don't, don't bring me back to this place again.
Wow.
God. Like, things are going well, like we're at a good place. And it was once again, it was one of those situations that challenged my faith again.
Because that was COVID, right?
Oh, yeah, COVID.
And so you were able to be there, but then, and what year of marriage was that for you? Your ninth?
That was year 9.
9? And is that the same year that you actually lost?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was.
And that, because I read that in the book and I was thinking, I was like, wait a minute.
It was,
Wow.
God, what you doing right here?
Now that's something I didn't even realize.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, they delivered the baby, and they performed a hysterectomy. And they send the baby to the nursery and send Lady Joy to her room. And she just never got herself. I mean, she was never the same.
Hi again, this is Becca Wilson. I truly hope you have enjoyed our show today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, you be blessed and have a great day.